if it's true that variety is the spice of life, then there's no spicier place in the ocean than Raja Ampat, Indonesia.
A hotspot of biodiversity is an area that's extraordinary in terms of the number of species and habitats and ecosystems it sustains. Raja Ampat is the hotspot of biodiversity, the most species-rich place we know of in the ocean worldwide.
If we dive a little deeper, we'll find that, well, even hotspots have hotspots.
Much of that biodiversity that we see here in Raja Ampat is sustained by coral reefs. They're basically engines of biodiversity. They produce more species than any other ecosystem we know of.
But how do we know this? How do we know how many fish are in the sea? How much coral is on a reef? What kind? And how do we track how all this marine life is responding to threats like destructive fishing, development, and climate change? Well, we start with the people who know this place best.
Saya adalah anak kampung dan di mana tiap hari hidup di kampung, jadi saya harus belajar bagaimana tahu tentang di mana saya melihat nama saya Ronald Mamrasar, asal dari Kampung Arborek dan bekerja di konservasi internasional.
Today, we're in the Ayau Atoll. We're going out with Ronald and his crew of local marine monitors. Their role is to keep watch over the reefs by recording the biodiversity here.
Kalau dulu memang sering dibom, tapi sekarang sudah ada tim patroli pengawasan, makanya sekarang sudah terjaga, karang mulai pulih kembali, ikan mulai kembali.
Basically, we're out to see if conservation efforts are on the right track.
Itu tentu penting sekali, jadi kita bisa melihat perubahan-perubahan dari situasi karang atau ikan itu.
Sounds simple enough, right? But if you've ever tried to count fish, well, you know that it's a lot harder than it sounds.
Jadi kita akan bentan 3 transek per karangnya. Posisi orang karangnya di sini, orang transek sementara jalan, orang ikan selalu di depan terus, di depan orang karang.
Each diver has a specific task. The first lays down a long measuring tape about the length of a football field. Distance is important because for the data to be consistent, the area has to be the same size. The fish surveyor goes next, before all the fish get scared away. They swim along the line, recording the fish that are within 5 meters of either side.
Ikan target utama adalah ikan yang berekonomi tinggi, seperti ikan pelagis, besar-besar, terus terutama ikan kerapu, napuleo, terus ada tambah-tambah seperti hiu, snapper, lobster.
The final diver looks at the amount of coral and how healthy it is.
Kalau karang sendiri dicatat berdasarkan angka yang kita lihat di atas transek, yaitu setengah meter.
Oh, jadi
50 1 meter, 1,5 meter, selama sampai 50 meter dari satu transek terus pindah ke transek kedua, ketiga.
This information will be compared with historical data. This can help us understand how this reef is changing over time and what we might need to do to support it in the future.
Untuk saya pribadi, pekerjaan ini sangat penting untuk menjaga generasi ke depan agar mereka juga bisa melihat alam yang indah ini. Untuk laut sudah mulai bagus. Kedepannya lebih baik lagi.
Agar konservasi yang sudah ada ini tetap kita pertahankan untuk menindaklanjuti apa yang didampakkan nanti pada saat masa-masa anak cucu kita ke depan, untuk lebih dalam lagi untuk mengerti tentang konservasi agar kita membudayakan konservasi untuk menjadi masa depan kita bersama.